We'll start with the prayer. Om Sahana Bhavatu. Om Sahana
सहना
Vavatu.
भवतु
Sahano
सहनौ
Bhunaktu. Sah Veeryam
सह वीर्यं
Karavavahai.
करवावहै
Tejasvinavadhitamastu.
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु
Ma
मा
Vikvishavahai.
विद्विषावहै
Om Shanti
ॐ
Shanti
शान्ति
Shanti.
शान्ति शान्तिः
Okay. Good evening, Rohit. I think after 1 or 2 minutes, 2
Good
months
evening.
of after 1 or 2 months, we are at Ghiranta Samhita, successfully finished the group study of Ghiranta Samhita. So today we will have a just look what we have studied and what we have understood from this text, ancient yoga text.
Yeah.
Earlier, we have discussed about Patanjali Yoga Sutras. So we have discussed some one or two padas, and we have very good sessions, thought-provoking sessions while doing the Patanjali chapter reading as well. I think you finished the Hatha Ratnavali also, right? Uh, done the study of
Yes.
Hatha Ratnavali also,
Yes. A
right?
few months ago, when yes, yes.
Okay,
So a few months ago, after actually immediately after the lockdown started, we started with Hatha Ratnavali. It
okay.
was a considerably big text,
Hmm.
and it took us approximately 3 to 4 months. I think slightly more also to finish Hatha Ratnavali.
Okay.
So
So,
yeah,
yeah, and
Hatha,
after
yeah.
that, this is the most important, one of the most Hatha yogic texts that is called as the Ghiranda Samhita. So,
Actually,
while
there is a Brahma Vishnu Mahesh of texts. Actually, there is a Brahma Vishnu Mahesh of Hatha Yogic text. It's a combination of Hatha Yoga Pradipika by Swatma Rama, Geranda Samhita, and which is a conversation between Geranda Muni and Chanda Kapali, and this Hatha Ratnavali, which is a text written by Srinivasa Yogi. And whose order mein? Because Hatha Yoga Pradipika is said to be around 14th to 15th century. Gerand Samhita is dated around 17th century, and the other
Mhm.
one, Hatha Ratnavali, is dated around 19th century.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So, can we say that like there are some similarity in terms of the practices and in terms of the sadhana in three text parallel if we
Well,
do the comparative study?
yeah, yes and no, because I'll tell you what. When you read Hatha Ratnavali, you realize that it is out and out a commentary on Hatha Yoga Pradipika. You know,
Okay.
थोड़ा बहुत चीजें ऊपर नीचे है, but for the most part, most part, you'll find many similar shlokas and sutras coming in this Hatha Ratnavali, which are very similar to Hatha Yoga Pradipika. तो वो जो group जिसके साथ मैं work कर रहा था, we were of the consensus कि this is most probably a commentary on Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Gherand Samhita, although we did find quite a few similar shlokas to Hatha Yoga Pradipika, but this was a comparatively quite a different text in many contexts.
Correct.
With जैसे जैसे हम आगे जाएंगे, we'll be exploring it more and more how this is different करके.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Can we throw some light on Ghiranda Muni or Chandakapali?
Hmm.
There is a very less information about Ghiranda Muni, like what he was
Yeah,
practicing and like where this discussion has done, or like
yeah.
how Chandakapali has
Hmm.
approached to Ghiranda Muni and all. So,
Yeah. So first of all, one thing we need to understand is that Hatha Yoga Pradipika is a conversation between Shiva and Parvati, something like that. Okay,
correct.
we see the essence of that in Hatha Ratnavali also,
Hmm.
because it's a tantric text. Okay, we don't, and most of the lineage जो परंपरा बताई है दोनों टेक्स्ट
Hmm.
में वो नाथ योगियों की परंपरा है.
Correct.
Okay,
Hmm.
and most of them are rasa shastris, and most of them are nathas, starting from Adinath, Matsendranath, Gorakhnath,
Gorakshanath.
Khilji,
Hmm.
Kanifna, yes, etc., etc., etc. Okay, तो परंपरा नाथ की है, बट गेरंड संहिता में ऐसी कोई परंपरा नहीं बताई गई है. There has
Hmm.
not been much mention of the Nath yogis,
Hmm.
of the parampara basically. Okay.
Correct.
So to अगर किसी को पता नहीं है and he is beginning to read the text, it might seem as if Geranda Muni is also a Nath yogi. We don't know that whether Geranda Muni is actually from the Nath Sampradaya or not. There's no mention of that. But it is said that Geranda Muni is a disciple of Vishnu. He's a Vaishnava actually, from the most popular
Vaishnavite.
sources.
Correct.
Exactly. And the reason why he is considered a Vaishnavite or a disciple of Vishnu, वो हम लोग towards the end of this session वो हमको देखने
Correct.
मिलेगा. But that doesn't mean that there are not references to Shiva, because in many places he has put
while meditating
references to
on
Shiva and all that.
Kundalini, while meditating
Yes.
on Kundali also, he has
Yes.
taken some references of
Yes.
Shiva's presence and like
Exactly. Exactly. So although many people are of the opinion he's Vaishnava, I think because see the first shloka of Gerand Samhita, wherein Chanda Kapali approaches Geranda Muni, he uses the term Yogeshwara for Shiva. Okay. Now, please note that this term has not been used for anybody apart from Shiva and other Nath yogis. This term has not been used for Swatmarama also. This term has not been used for Srinivasa Yogi also. Here, Chanda Kapali already is calling him a Yogeshwara. That is somebody who has realized. Of course, Swatmarama Muni, too, according to me, must be a liberated and realized soul to condense those practices in that text. But I'm just referring to Gerand Samhita, wherein I say that he has already realized the Brahman. Okay, because Gerand Samhita पढ़ते पढ़ते उसके एसेंस में ये ऐसे पता चलता है कि this is a Advaita Vedantic text. ऐसा पता चल रहा है. Okay. So he has realized Brahman. So I think he himself is above the differences of Shaiva and Vaishnava per se, because if he has achieved the state of Yogeshwara, okay, he has achieved that state. Yeah, so but that is the popular opinion which I came across. He is this thing.
There are
but interesting thing is Chandaka. Yeah, please tell.
Yeah, like there is so less information available on the net or anywhere in the references also about the both of them, like Geranda or Chanda Kapali, who has written the text, whether there is like written by Geranda Muni or someone written, or Chanda Kapali himself coded whatever the practices Geranda Muni has given. So
yeah, so there is some research I did on Chanda Kapali. So this was the most interesting part. Kapalika is a sect. Okay, Kapalika is a Shaiva sect, and these guys usually the Kapalis usually, you know, the Aghoris, Naths, Kapalis, etc., etc. These are like the Shaiva sects. So Kapalis usually roam with a Khatwanga. So Khatwanga is a trident with a skull on top of it. Okay, and apparently they even have their meal in a skull. You know, so their practices are very much similar to the Aghori tradition. वैसे अगर देखा जाए तो similarities है. It is not really completely the same. So Kapali tradition जो है, there is a good chance that Chanda Kapali जो है, somewhere or the other he's related to the Kapalika tradition. And when he comes to Geranda Muni, he's not a novice at that point. He has already done some sadhana and he is coming to Geranda Muni.
Correct.
You know,
So that's
ऐसा
why
नहीं है कि वो अभी कुछ सीखने आ रहा, coming to Geranda Muni. Yes.
Correct.
And
so that's
the reason
why Yama and Niyama has also not been described in Ghiranda Samhita, like Ghatastha Yoga, Saptanga Yoga, because it's like
बीच में है ना?
no, like not separately or not they have started.
तो है.
They know, like they have just mentioned, but not specifically like limbs. Like a limbs. Because they already
like
know that
Patanjali.
one has to follow these types of things, and after that you are ready for the practices. So maybe that's
and
how.
Another thing is this text, the pieces of this text were discovered from ranging from pre-partition Bengal to Rajasthan. Okay, ये range में मिला था. Okay, and Kapali surname is popular in Bengal also right now, even right now.
Okay.
Okay, the Kapali surname is very popular, is one of the surnames of Bengal.
Okay.
So apparently this conversation also might have happened. It is said this conversation also happened somewhere there itself. The northeastern parts.
Northeast part.
And of
Okay.
course, Bengal is also known for its tantric heritage.
Correct.
So, many things do add up over here,
Correct. And the
actually.
beauty of this text is
Yeah.
like Guru is giving a upadesh to disciple, and there are a number of advanced higher practices further which we studied. That you need the presence of Guru for those higher practices. Like only
Absolutely.
by reading the book or
Absolutely.
just by reading the text, you cannot directly initiate the
Yeah.
practices. You need the presence of Guru. So that
Yeah.
is the beauty of this text. I
Actually.
liked.
Yeah. और ये हम लोग ऐसे ही नहीं बोल रहे हैं. We read the
Hmm.
text, we went through it, and we found out that many practices cannot be done without this presence
Presence
of a
of
guru,
Guru.
like Bahishkrita Dhauti and all that. They definitely we cannot be practiced,
Correct.
without
And the Guru
the presence of a guru.
the Guru which has which he has already done all this sadhana, and he has already done all these practices, and then he is teaching it to disciple. So it's like a excellent text on Guru
Yes.
and disciple, how to lead your
Exactly.
student on the path of yoga. So what we learned in Gheranda Samhita, I think this is one of the most important verse in Gheranda Samhita. शोधनं दृढता चैव स्थैर्यं धैर्यं च लाघवं प्रत्यक्षं च निर्लिप्तं च घटस्य सप्तसाधनं षट्कर्मणा शोधनश्च आसनेन भवेत् दृढं मुद्रया स्थिरता चैव प्रत्याहारेण धीरता प्राणायामाल्लाघवं च ध्यानात् प्रत्यक्ष आत्मनि समाधिना च निर्लिप्तं मुक्तिरेवं न संशयः. Saptanga Yoga has been described here, where Shatakarmas are for purification of the body, asanas are for strengthening the body, mudras give steadiness, pratyaharas are for calmness of the body and mind, pranayamas are leads to lightness of the body and mind, and dhyana is realization of the self. Samadhi is nothing but the isolation and liberation. So in this verse is very important.
Yes.
It describes the whole text, what the text has to say. Right. So these are the yogic practices, kriyas. The main important part and how it differs from the other text is like the most emphasis has been given on the shatakarmas, cleansing techniques, kriyas especially.
Thing from
Correct. So that's why
okay.
it is called as the Ghatha Yoga. Like, like you purify your body
Ghatastha
first.
yoga.
You purify your body first, and then you lead to higher practices. And I think after that, these other practices become easier because it is a step-by-step journey. Once you purify
Actually,
your
and
body.
do you remember that a few days ago you had sent me a post on Trulkhor? Trulkhor is basically the Tibetan form of yoga, which is also similar to Ghatastha yoga, wherein it's not just about purifying the body, Ghatastha yoga, it is about manipulating the body in such a way to redirect the flow of energy towards the Sahasrara. How can you create certain manipulations in the body itself or certain areas in the body so that the flow of energy is redirected? The essence of this Ghatastha Yoga, I feel people can also go and check this Trulkhor practice, which is like a Tibetan form of yoga.
Okay.
So yeah,
Means you
Ghatastha
use
yoga.
your body as a tool to lead the path of that
Yes.
yoga, right? There are
Yeah,
almost
to the body. How can you use your Annamaya Kosha to manipulate your Pranamaya Kosha? That would be the essence of it.
Correct. He has not mentioned any koshas in the text, but once you start reading and once you find the Saptanga yogas, you automatically correlate with the other concepts from yoga philosophy, right? Like how you work on different koshas or how you work on step-by-step manner, body, then mind, psychosomatic, these things, and how you lead to the higher practices. Okay. So there are almost 102 practices which he has mentioned, or at least given verses on that. Kriyas is the most important chapter, the first chapter. Asanas, 32 asanas has been described. Mudras, 25 mudras has been given. Pratyaharas are 5, which are nothing but controlling the 5 sense organs. Pranayamas are described in 10 in number. Dhyanas are 3, and samadhis, 6 types of the samadhis has been described. So overall, 102
Actually,
practices has
this is
been.
where I find, this is where I find Geranda Samhita really special, because this Hatha Yoga Pradipika has Shat Karmas. Okay. Shri Hatha Ratnavali has Ashta Karmas. Okay. But the Geranda Samhita has 25 Shuddhi Kriyas, basically, which is more than anybody.
Correct.
Okay. Hatha Ratnavali has mentioned the name of 84 asanas, although it does not describe all of them. Okay. It has a mention of the 84 asanas. It has given the name of 84 asanas. Here the asanas are 32. I think Hatha Yoga Pradipika, I'm not sure how many asanas are there. But 32, again, this is an important topic, we'll come to this. Okay. But the Bandha Mudra, which is the next chapter in Hatha Pradipika and Hatha Ratnavali, they are 10 in number. Okay, Bandha Mudra. They are Mahabandha, Mahaveda, Mahabandha, Mahamudra, Mahavedascha Khechari, Moola Bandha, Uddiyana, Jalandhara, Shakti Chalini, Vipreet Karni, Vajrodi. These are the 10 Bandha Mudras which are dead. Here they have approximately, that chapter itself has approximately 25 Bandha Mudras and other practices. You know,
correct.
So this is like a very awesome and unique thing about this.
Correct.
You know, so this is where it takes the cake.
Correct. Shat Karmas has
so
already.
Yeah, we'll discuss this later. Yeah.
Shat Karmas are working like he has divided the body into different parts or units, and after that he has mentioned the Shat Kriyas according to that. Like Dhautis are working on nasopharyngeal, adioc,
so we'll just
region.
We'll just clarify one thing for people who are beginners. We said there are 24 Shuddhi Kriyas and all. Okay. Basic Shat Karmas are 6 जो mentioned है, but उसमें अंदर जो variations है, like धौती के 3-4 प्रकार के variations है, बस्ती के 3 प्रकार के variations, 3 या 4 प्रकार के again variations है, नेति के 2-3 प्रकार के variations है, ये सब मिला के there are approximately 25 practices that are there.
21, I think.
So वैसे.
21, I think. 21.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, 21.
Yeah, 21.
So these practices are working on different regions of the body and purifying the body in all the terms, like Neti hai, Tratak hai, Nauli hai, which automatically lead you for the, working on your psychic as well. क्योंकि जो त्राटक अभी है
actually the chakras
chakras for kundalini awakening and all that. So kriyas में ही बहुत सारा काम हो जाता है.
And primarily absolutely. Primarily, I'm seeing they are targeting, of course, the Mooladhara chakra, the Manipuraka, the Anahat somewhat, and the Agnya chakra mainly. They are targeting primarily this, but all the chakras do come into involvement when these kriyas are practiced, definitely. You know. But some of the kriyas were really awesome in this. For example, the
Kapalabhatis are 3 types of.
Dhauti.
Correct. Yeah, it's interesting, but like it is very tough to practice that one.
Yeah. It is one of those kriyas. Apparently, it is said that Sai Baba used to practice that, Bahishkrita Dhauti, wherein after having mastered the Kumbhaka for 1.5 hours, the sadhaka becomes capable of removing his intestines via his rectum and cleaning them externally and drying them and sucking them back into your system. So
like kapde dhone ke jaisa, like
awesome. So this is why we said that we need a guru.
Otherwise it can create a harm as well अगर ठीक से वो नहीं हुआ है process तो. So if the process or practice goes wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
32
कपालभाति के
asanas.
जो 3 प्रकार है, वातक्रम, व्युत्क्रम एंड शीतक्रम.
Hmm. Which is
Yeah,
different
Vatkram,
in.
Yutkram, Sheetkram. I
Huh.
think these have been mentioned in rest of the text also.
Correct.
Hmm.
Then asanas part comes where 32 asanas have been described. Padmasan, Siddhasan, these are like he has mentioned in terms of the meditative aspect of practicing the asana, right? Most of the practices are
Yeah.
for spiritual uplifting. Vrishasana, which we found
Yes.
quite different. And we were quite suspicious about the, like going into the asana or what kind of the posture, because translation of Gheranda Samhita or the verses varies from publication to publication, schools to schools. So even the postures are also varying somewhere or somehow. So it becomes very difficult to determine which posture and which name he has given, like Sinhasan or the other practices or other asanas where something, the picture is different and the description is different, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So essentially, the second asana which is there, Yogasana, it's a very special asana because traditionally what happens is in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, in all the texts actually, people are of the consensus. Padmasan, आज हम लोग क्या करते हैं? We just cross the legs above each other, we sit and we call it Padmasan. But no, in the traditional text, all the texts, three of the texts are in consensus. Ke actual Padmasana is what we today call as Baddha
Baddha
Padmasana.
Padmasan.
After having crossed the legs, you grab one feet with one hand from behind and the other feet with the other hand. So actually the Baddha Padmasana is actually what is called Padmasana. और जो हम सिर्फ leg cross करके बैठते हैं ना, that actually comes under the category of Yogasana. But Yogasana is a bit more than that because having crossed your legs, you have to sit steady, take a deep puraka, and having done an antara kumbhaka, you have to you have to focus at the point between the eyebrows, the Bhrumadhya center,
Okay.
And this Yogasana also happens to be the final described asana in Gheranda Samhita. I found that very interesting asana.
Correct.
Yogasana.
Correct. Next is mudras. 25 mudras. Most of the mudras are common as that of the Hatha Pradipika as well. But this 5 dharanas, Pancha Dharana has been described here in Gheranda Samhita to get it like more into the advanced practices.
Yeah.
Next is Pratyaharas. Mind is to be withdrawn from the various objects. Pratyahara chapter is like a very
very
short,
small chapter.
Yeah,
actually.
very short chapter as compared to the other. I think he just he has to just mention.
Actually, it's rightfully done. So he has agreed with Patanjali Muni's concept of Pratyahara. It is a Sahaja process which by the application of the various kriyas and asanas, because see, जो हमने asanas देखा ना, ये आसन सिर्फ बॉडी को हेल्दी रखने के लिए नहीं है. We have to be clear about that. So when we say yogasan, although it is in the this thing of asana और उसको लोग it's just a physical practice करके छोड़ देते हैं. The way it has been mentioned, right from Siddhasana also, and all the way to Yogasana, that you have to do a kumbhaka and focus on Bhrumadhya, you are entering the state of samadhi using that asana itself. वो आसन चैप्टर में ही तुम्हारे लिए समाधि में जाने के सारे उपाय तुम्हें दिए गए हैं. Okay. Therefore, this Pratyaha chapter, he has not explained much of the things. Okay, because it is understood by your training in the asanas and other sciences and other mudras and all that, you have already achieved a certain level of pratyahara.
Correct.
It has become sahaja to you.
I think it's like the result of the other practices that pratyahara will automatically come, or pratyahara will automatically happen. You don't have to, like read or follow or listen to the instructions. It will automatically happen as a result of the other previous practices.
Absolutely. Yeah, and another unique thing is like in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, it is after pranayama that pratyahara comes. Here, after asana the pratyahara, asana and mudra the pratyahara comes, and then the pranayama
comes.
Correct. So again, that's an interesting observation.
Correct.
Over here. So yeah.
Next is fifth chapter is pranayam.
So,
These are necessary things before practicing pranayam, like how should be the place, the importance of the place while before leading to the practice of pranayam. What should be the time of practicing pranayam? Then the yogis should practice pranayam in this prahara. Then season is also mentioned here. अगर yoga practice शुरू करनी है तो this season, particular season, one has to start or initiate the practice of pranayam. Then he can lead towards the yogic path. Otherwise, like diseases, you are giving the invitation to the diseases if you are starting pranayam practice in a wrong season. Diet has also mentioned. He has
extreme
covered.
season. Yeah. So the mention is the mention is that you should start in a season which is relatively mild or pleasant season. You do not start your practice of pranayama in extreme seasons. As the weather quality is bad, it might negatively influence your system. As the negative weather is in an extreme situation. Okay, so you are waiting for certain seasons like a pleasant spring or an autumn or something like that to begin your practice of pranayama. You are not practicing it during heavy winter or heavy summer or heavy rain.
Correct. Diet also he has mentioned. As per I think that era, ki like these vegetables you should eat first, then milk and the ghee part you should consume before practicing pranayam. And once you have mastered the
And
practice of
the
pranayam.
one another thing about this that
Hello, can you
continue.
hear
I
me?
think there is some delay between us. Yeah, I can hear you. I think there is some delay between you and me. So इसकी वजह से we are
Okay.
talking over each other ऐसा लग रहा है. But actually there's a delay on both the sides actually.
Okay.
Yeah, continue.
So some food restrictions also he has mentioned. The food restrictions which he has mentioned is somehow similar to Hatha Pradipika as well as in Bhagavad Gita also. That is the
Yes.
common sense. Once you start practicing yoga, it becomes very common
Mm,
sense to which food you should eat or which food you should have in your plate. Like which food brings you into the leads you into the tamasic state,
Yeah.
sattvic state, and rajasic state. So he has also mentioned some of the foods which are prohibited for the practice of pranayama.
So ये जो हठ योगिक टेक्स्ट है ना, ये जो हठ योगिक टेक्स्ट है, इसमें जो डाइट होता है ना, it might seem very weird for people, but actually the main purpose of this diet is that the food should get digested quickly. A lot of energy gets wasted in the process of digestion. It might not be the most ideal diet for a city living person or a person having a 9 to 5 job and who practices hatha yoga on the side. Okay, but the purpose of this particular system is not put under a lot of strain with this particular diet. Even the place जो mention किया है यहाँ पर प्राणायाम शुरू करने के लिए, it is similar to what has been mentioned in Hatha Pradipika. Many of the shlokas are very similar actually.
Similar, right. Sitting on specific cloth like tiger skin and kusa grass or like deer skin. And direction is also mentioned specifically, like you should face towards north and particularly towards the east for practicing the pranayam. So I think all these things are really a good start for leading to the practice of pranayam, right? इतनी पूरी तैयारी करनी पड़ती है and then you practice pranayam instead of like sitting somewhere and then you start nadi shuddhi. So if you follow all these things, necessary things, I think your pranayam will be much more effective.
Yeah. Yes.
Nadi Shuddhi comes whenever there is a pranayam chapter comes. Nadi Shuddhi is preliminary in Ghiranda Samhita.
Yeah, it starts with a Nadi Shuddhi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are two types of Nadi
It's
Shuddhi.
not really a part of the pranayama. Yeah. It's Nadi Shuddhi is not really considered as a part of pranayama, but it is considered as an absolute precursor to pranayama.
Correct.
And it has been mentioned that the very specific practice of Nadi Shuddhi itself can bring about certain siddhis. So in fact Nadi Shuddhi में ही बोले हैं कि नाड़ी शुद्धि को टेक्निकली उन्होंने प्राणायाम माना है, because I'll tell you the reason why, because उनके श्लोक में ही ऐसे बोला गया है once the person starts practicing Nadi Shuddhi with the Kumbhakas, so इसमें वो समानु और निर्माणु, correct?
Correct.
The Nadi Shuddhi के दो प्रकार बताए हैं, समानु and निर्माणु. So समानु is wherein you have a ratio for the inhalation, Antara Kumbhaka and Rechaka. You have a ratio, but that ratio is guided along with a Bija mantra. Okay, so whatever the Bija mantra is for the inhalation, you are chanting the Bija mantra for that many times. You are holding the breath for 64 counts. Okay, 64 counts of that Bija mantra, and you are exhaling through the other nostril, and while you are exhaling, you are again chanting a Bija mantra.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are 3 Bija mantras.
And वो ratio दिया है उसमें.
Yeah.
Do you have that ratio with you?
Yeah. The Bija mantras are Dham, Ram, and Tham, and ratio is 16:64:32. So 16 for Purak, 64 for Kumbhaka, Antar Kumbhaka, and Rechak for 32. With Bija mantra, Dham, Ram, and
While
Tham.
you are doing this, ये जो order में बोला था, हाँ. So with inhalation you are chanting Hum, with holding you are chanting 64 counts of Ram, and with exhalation you are counting 32 counts of Ram. Now this is called Samanu Nadi Shuddhi Pranayam. That is when it is performed with Bija
mantra.
Okay. Correct. Yeah. In Nirmanu there is no application of Bija mantra. Quite possibly the ratio still exists, but there is no application of Bija mantra as such.
Okay.
You have created all the necessary conditions for Nadi Shuddhi by doing Dhauti Kramas.
Dhauti Kramas, yeah.
Okay. So, for example, So apparently, the reason why this Samanu and Nirmanu comes over here is these Bija mantras are there. What did you say those Bija mantras were?
Dham, Ram, and Tham. Dham, Ram, and Tham.
Dham, Ram, and Tham. Okay.
Tham
so
is
इसमें
like
से जो दो बीज मंत्र है मेरे अनुसार धम और रम, in fact all the three are affecting your Manipuraka chakra in one way or the other. Creating
like
about the cleansing action in that particular area. In the exactly similar to Kapalbhati, but although Dham, Ram, and Tham are hitting at different points in the body, but they definitely do create that Kapalbhati sort of effect in your system. With the Nirmanu pranayam, you are using the Dhauti Krama basically to create that cleansing action, which earlier the Bija mantra brought about. This is an assumption. It might not be correct, but this is simply an assumption which we had come to at that particular point of time during the session. So Nirmanu again is the Anulom Vilom pranayam, but this time without the Bija mantras.
Correct. Right. Then Ashtakumbhakas are there, which has already also mentioned in Hatha Yoga, Hatha Yoga Pradipika. But here Sahita and Kevali is newer or replaced by Sitakari and Plavini. So Ashtakumbhakas, Sahita, Surya Bheda, Ujjai, Sitali, Bhastrika, Brahmari, Murcha, Kevali. So Sitakari and Plavini has been omitted or substituted with Sahita and Kevali. Actually, here the pranayama itself means in some of the texts or in some of the sessions I have heard that pranayama in Gheranda Samhita itself it is called as the Kumbhaka, because if you have seen the number of pranayams which he has mentioned, Kumbhaka application is quite.
That is true for Hatha Yoga Pradipika also.
So and
because
the
we call
obvious
it
meaning,
Kumbhakas, right?
And obvious meaning of pranayama itself is a Kumbhaka. So we can say like pranayama instead of saying pranayama, the Kumbhaka chapter is more convenient.
But this final pranayam which is there, which is the Kevali pranayam, okay, it is a very interesting pranayam. We don't have time to explain it completely over here, but there are different dimensions to it, wherein to reach that Kumbhaka, you have to elongate the inhalation and exhalation as much as possible. Okay, the Puraka and Rechaka need to be elongated for that effective Kumbhaka to come about. So there are multiple dimensions to the Kevali pranayam itself, depending on what level and what sadhana path the student has taken. Okay, अभी मैं बताऊंगा वो समझेगा नहीं पब्लिक को, बट यू नो यू रियली नीड टू रीड दैट एंड पुट दैट इनटू प्रैक्टिस. इट इज सिमिलर टू व्हाट इज नोन एज हमसा साधना और सोहम
Correct, correct.
साधना, you know,
Soham
but
mantra
if
or ajapa japa sankhya, that is also
exactly.
similar
But if
practice.
somebody were to approach it from the path of vipassana, okay, the kumbhaka, there is an element of lengthening of the inhalation and exhalation to catch that spontaneous gap between two breaths, okay, which is again kevala kumbhaka, जिसे हम कहते हैं. And then there is another thing wherein you have lengthened the breath like ujjayi, you know, you have lengthened the breath as much as you can, and quite possibly you are doing voluntary kumbhaks, okay, but apparently जब हम पढ़ रहे थे ऐसा लग रहा था इसमें involuntarily भी कुंभक आने का चांस है, and that is why केवली ये प्राणायाम का नाम दिया है, because the way the Purak and the Rechak is set over here, it has more chance of bringing about the stage of Kevala Kumbhaka. Of course, when you practice it practically, you will understand more about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Next comes the chapter of dhyanas, where 3 types of the dhyanas has been mentioned: Sthula, Jyoti, and Sukshma. For Sthula dhyana, I personally feel without guru or without guru's initiation, one cannot go into the Sthula dhyana, because guru will direct the form of that Ishta Devata, or like which image you have to visualize, what is the color of that image, or like Vahan of that image.
So here in
Devata.
In Sthula Dhyana, you either need, it is sort of a part of Bhakti Marga actually. Okay, you either need to have a guru whom you have tremendous love, whom you have tremendous love towards, or you need to have an Ishta Devata whom you have tremendous faith towards. Because the technique of this dhyana is you are holding the image of the guru in your heart center, wherein you have to imagine an island which is like full of jewels and rubies and all that. Over the pleasant trees are growing. At the center of the island, there's a Kalpa Vriksha. The branches of the Kalpa Vriksha are the 4 Vedas. And essentially, there's a terrace over there, and on the top of this terrace, on a throne, the Guru is sitting, adorned with choicest garments and jewels. The idea is this visualization, जो है, the idea is the island and the kalpa vriksha un sabse zyada guru important hai to understand that this is tad japas tadartha bhavanam, that is you have to create the appropriate bhavana for the guru over there. That is, guru is the source of all the shri and prosperity. Guru is the source, my guru is the essence of all the Vedas. You know, my guru is the essence of life. That is what the trees determine. The island is on a nectar, sea of nectar. So the guru is the source of immortality. You know, ये सारी भावना लाने के लिए वो extreme visualization दिया to create that immense love and gratitude towards the guru or the Ishta Devata. Exactly. Easiest but difficult because it requires complete surrender to the guru. If you have love for your guru, this is the most natural form of dhyana that will come to you.
Next is the Jyoti dhyana, which is meditation on Kundalini, Tejomay.
Yeah, actually, when we say Kundalini, there are 3 points. If Tejomay dhyan mein jo 3 points diye hain, Gheranda Muni ne. One is Mooladhara, you have to focus on the Mooladhara. Second is Agnya Chakra. And the third, you have to focus on the Agnya Chakra, or he says the area of the mind. Now, we don't know what he refers to as area of the mind or slightly above the mind. I have assumed for the time being that he's referring to Murdha, the top of the head. And I feel so this is similar to Patanjali's Muni's Chitta Prasadan mein, Vishokava Jyotishmati jo technique hai Chitta Prasadan ke liye. I feel this is similar to that. जो मूर्धा में जो ध्यान है, again Patanjali Muni in his 3rd chapter has the appropriate shloka के मूर्धा ज्योतिषु सिद्ध दर्शनम करके. Of course, I like comparing texts and seeing where this could be there, but I might be wrong again. But yeah, so there are 3 points which Gheranda Muni essentially has given, wherein one has to focus on the Mooladhara, the Agnya, and the Sahasrara. Sahasrara is just a speculation, of course. He has said the area of the mind, or the area slightly above the mind.
Here he described about the Brahman and like Jivatma, or like some of the references he has given here, like meditation upon the Tejomaya Dhyana or Brahman, that Brahman. So that part is like,
Yeah, yeah. Actually, just one second. There, I feel, yeah, I guess you are correct. Yes,
right?
yes,
Brahman
absolutely.
references he has given here itself because in Muladhara resides the Kundalini in the form of serpent.
Hmm.
So as
Hmm.
you direct your spiritual energy in the towards upward
See, ये
direction.
जो हाँ, yeah. See, ये जो first जो ये था ना, the what is known as स्थूल ध्यान on the guru.
Hmm.
Okay. इसमें
Hmm.
एक और element है wherein in one part we are doing स्थूल ध्यान on the guru in the
Hmm.
heart region, anahat region. In another, there is a second variation to this wherein you are doing स्थूल ध्यान on the guru in the Sahasrara region.
Okay.
There is another shloka, set of shlokas.
Okay.
You know, wherein at the center of the Sahasrara you have to imagine lotus with 12 petals. उसमें एक triangle है, you know. So वो triangle के अपने अपने बीज मंत्र है, वो triangle के corners के बीज मंत्र है, बीच में एक बिंदु है. You know, there the bindu is represented. Guru is symbolic of that bindu and all that.
Correct. Correct.
So these different aspects are there. And जो ज्योति ध्यान है, yes, these 3 points have been mentioned over here. You know, to meditate upon, essentially.
Sukshma is the highest type of dhyana. When
Yeah.
Kundalini is awakened, it becomes one with the Atman. Like we have discussed this Atman, and it
Yeah.
becomes
So
one
the
with the
concept,
Paramatma.
yeah, the concept of Sukshma Dhyana is when the Kundalini is rising from Mooladhara to Agnya, we say that Hatha Yoga is complete. Yani Mooladhara to Agnya, when the Kundalini reaches, energy reaches this particular point, complete, the person has become a complete Siddha. Okay? But the journey from Agnya to Sahasrara, वो journey जब complete होता है, we say Raja Yoga is complete. Okay? Now, the Sukshma Dhyana is for a practitioner who has already reached the level of Agnya. That is, he has already become sort of like a Siddha. It seems
Correct.
to me, okay? I might be wrong. But it is for an individual who has, just one second.
Means when
It is for an
Kundalini is
individual who has reached the area of Agnya. And Gheranda Muni is clearly of this thing that, see, when I was being taught this particular technique in college, they told us there were multiple interpretations of this. You know, some were saying that there's no technique to travel. This is called Rajamarga. The area from Agnya to Sahasrara is called Rajamarga. So some said that this journey is the most crucial one. So apparently Sukshma Dhyan शायद उनके लिए बताया गया है. But you know, there are some people who are of the opinion कि वहां पर से कोई मार्ग नहीं है. There is no technique for that. It happens because of different things like grace of a guru or Ishvara Pranidhana. With complete surrender, it happens. You know,
correct.
वैसे. But Shambhavi Mudra यहाँ बताया गया है, wherein you are taking the eyes up.
Because in Shambhavi also our gaze rises up, right? It rises above the eyes, and like after practicing, you will feel the vibration in the Brahmarandra. Actually, this is very self-experiential topic again. Like whatever we are talking in philosophical or
wherein
like,
I felt that, absolutely. I have always felt that it is so natural because once you reach a point of surrender or Ishvara Pranidhana, all your energy or prana shakti becomes naturally urdhvagami, and it flows up towards the Sahasrara point in such a way that the eyes automatically start entering the Shambhavi Mudra automatically without you making any effort. Okay,
it's like
so,
going beyond that.
Like
it's going beyond that mana buddhi ahankara, right? Like there is no boundaries for that identity. Mana buddhi ahankara, you are crossing that, and then you are going into the surrender.
Absolutely.
This is quite interesting, right? Dhyana chapter itself, you need a proper guru.
I found it very interesting. Yeah. Correct. Because the last chapter, we don't know the technique, but the third technique, we can say this is not for a normal beginner. That much we can assure you.
Correct.
Okay, this is for a person who has already become a Siddha to a great extent. You know, this is the final step actually. So a guru's presence is absolutely required over here, either remote, direct or indirect, definitely.
Correct. Then comes the most highest goal of all this yoga is samadhis. Samadhi itself is a very vast topic. Again and again, I'm saying we are nowhere to experience or we are not into that practices or our practices are in a very at a very beginner level, but still after reading itself we feel that there is a lot of treasure into these yogic practices as you go higher and higher into your yogic practices. Samadhi, while reading Samadhi chapter in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, while reading Samadhi in this Gheranda Samhita also, I feel like Samadhi is a process as well as the result itself. Means it's not like कि ये करने के बाद में समाधि हो जाएगी. The throughout the samadhi, the technique is actually a process, and result is also a samadhi. It's not like the last end that you
Yes.
are practicing samadhi or you have reached up to the samadhi. It's a continuous process, ongoing process.
True. True that. True that.
Here samadhi has
So
been
there are six techniques that have actually been given, six techniques that have been mentioned in order to enter the state of samadhi, you know. So first is by dhyana, that is Shambhavi Mudra. Second is by the means of nada, that is Brahmari.
hmm.
The third is by the means of Rasananda, that is Khechari Mudra. You are catching that nectar on the tip of your tongue. The fourth way of entering the state of samadhi is by Laya, which is Yoni Mudra. The fifth way is Bhakti Yoga Samadhi. So अभी just हमने थोड़ी देर पहले वो discuss किया how by meditation on the Guru, by keeping in the center of the heart or by in the brain, you know, that is Bhakti Yoga. You need a presence of Guru or Ishta Devata. And the fifth is Raja Yoga Samadhi. Okay. And because काफी दिन बाद हुआ था and we did not yeah. So yeah. So Raja Yoga Samadhi is brought about by Mano Murcha, by the means of Murcha Pranayam, which is actually different from the Murcha Pranayam which is mentioned in Hatha Yoga Pradipika and Hatha Ratnavali. Okay, ये जो Mano Murcha Pranayam है वो अलग है यहाँ पर. Okay, so यहाँ पर Mano Murcha Pranayam is very similar to the Yogasana we discussed earlier. You know, sitting in Padmasana, having done the exactly. You know, so the Mano Murcha Pranayam, please don't be under the misunderstanding that he's saying that Murcha karke tum isme jaoge. The Murcha Pranayam which is mentioned in Hatha Yoga Pradipika and Hatha Yoga Pradipika and Hatha Ratnavali creates a state of unconsciousness kind of. But the Murcha Pranayam, जो description यहाँ पर दिया है Murcha Pranayam का, okay, यहाँ पर अलग दिया है. Okay, यहाँ पर बोला गया है perform breath retention comfortably, take the mind away from material things and focus on the eyebrow center, which is similar to the Yogasana technique which we discussed earlier. Having crossed the leg, do a Purak, Antar Kumbhak and focus. That is what they are calling Mano Murcha over here. Okay, so उससे राजयोग की प्राप्ति होती है. You know, so he has given 6 techniques to enter into the state of samadhi.
Either this
which
way or
again
either
is
this
very
way.
Interesting. Yeah.
Nada, the Brahmari
so
or Nada Samadhi, which he has described, is Nada Anusandhan, right? Like Anahata sound, and then you will listen
so
to the
Brahmari Pranayam is different, okay? No, so here the description of Brahmari Pranayam is actually different. So Brahmari Pranayam, Gheranda Muni, the way Gheranda Muni describes it is sitting in a meditative asana, having done the Purak and Antara Kumbhaka, do Shanmukhi Mudra and close up all your senses and focus on the point between the eye and focus your ears inside and try to listen to the sound that is going on inside. You are not doing Brahmari Pranayam over here as per the description given by Gheranda Muni. You are only doing Kumbhaka, you are closing up your ears and other senses and you are just simply introverting your senses and listening to the sound that is going on here. This is Shuddha Nadanusandhan. That is the final chapter of Hatha Yoga Pradipika and all that. This is Shuddha Nadanusandhan, has been described as Brahmari Pranayam. But when he describes the Nada जो second type of Samadhi describe करते हैं, he says that after having done the Shanmukhi Mudra, Okay, first you listen to the sound with the kumbhaka, and with an exhalation, when you are exhaling, okay, when you are exhaling, do the Bhramari pranayam. This
becomes
Bhramari pranayam, which we have read in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, he has mentioned here in the Nada chapter, not in the Bhramari pranayam chapter. Okay,
correct.
please understand the difference. Okay, and when you are humming it out, focus on the area where the concentration is going. So most of the time, the humming का जो focus रहता है, वो sound का focus रहता है, it is in the Agnya center or in the Sahasrara center.
Yeah.
So wherever the
Vibrations,
Nada goes, you focus on
we
that
feel in the
area.
head itself. Like.
Exactly. Okay, so you are focusing on that. So Nada में वो लोग they are doing the traditional Bhramari pranayam जो लोग usually practice करते हैं. But when he describes Bhramari pranayam, he's actually describing the process of Shuddha Nadanusandha.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Rasananda is again like the catching of that Amrita.
Nectar.
I'm so sorry.
Khechari, with the Khechari. In the Khechari technique, while describing the Khechari mudra also, he has given the technique like how you have to keep the tip of the tongue at the upper palate and then
Correct.
getting the nectar, having the feeling of getting the nectar. Okay. So these are all the states of samadhi, like dhyana, nada, rasananda, laya, bhakti yoga, and raja yoga.
Yes. Now, you know, the final one is again interesting. जिसके वजह से क्या बोलते हैं? People have concluded that he was
Vaishnavite.
Geranda Muni was Vaishnava. You know, so can you read that?
Yeah, Vishnu is in water, on land, on the peak of a mountain, and in the flames of fire. The whole universe is pervaded by Vishnu. So, this
is the one of the final closing shlokas, right? This is one of the closing shlokas.
Somehow
right?
similar.
Yeah. So, somehow similar.
Means after 2 or 3 shlokas, he is concluding. But before that, when he talks about the Raja Yoga and Sahajavastha, after that he is mentioning this. Jale Vishnu Sthale Vishnu, Vishnu Parvatamastake, Jvala Mala Kule Vishnu, Sarva Vishnu Mayam Jagat.
Yes. So, yes. Now there is one very interesting thing about this Gheranda Samhita. Okay. So essentially, ये जो ऐसे Hatha Yoga के texts होते हैं usually, they are usually commentaries or conversation between Shiva and Parvati. Usually, this is what happens. Okay. Here, although this is not a conversation between Shiva and Parvati. This is essentially a conversation between Gheranda Muni and Chanda Kapali. There is one shloka in between. Okay, there is one shloka in between wherein, the shloka is in chapter 3rd, and the verses are verses 4 and 5. Okay, wherein Gheranda Muni saying Mudranam Patalam Devi Katitam Tava Sannidhau Yena Vignata Matrena Sarva Siddhi Prajayate. He says, "Oh goddess, I have imparted the knowledge of mudras." You know, so although this is a conversation between Chanda Kapali and Gheranda Muni, in the 3rd chapter, verse 4, you know, he's saying, "Oh goddess." So makes you wonder, maybe the author, we are assuming that the author is Gheranda Muni, we don't know. We know that this is a conversation between, like Bhagavad Gita is a conversation between Krishna and Arjun, but Krishna is not the author is Veda Vyasa. Okay? So similarly, what we do know over here is maybe was the author trying to make this into a commentary or a
or it's just a mistake or like
between Shiva and Parvati beach mein, you know, gave up on that. Maybe Gheranda Muni is operating from the Putulship or that Shakti Tattva in Chanda Kapali, and he refers to him as, "Oh goddess, oh Devi." You know, so this is an interesting mystery over here which I found. Yeah.
But this is not in all the
So-
publications, right? Because I'm having a book where I don't have this.
Is it
verse.
not? I don't
So-
know. I don't know.
No, it is not there.
Look, if you read the
check it.
shloka, okay. Oh, is it? Because it's there, the shloka in the Sanskrit
So-
itself, it's there over here.
So
You know?
maybe like it's varies from person to person or publication to publication, or it may
I
be
don't
the
know.
mistake of the
Yeah.
printing.
I'm referring
or
to
whatever.
the Bihar School of Yoga publication. Yeah, I'm referring to the Bihar School of Yoga publication. So, yeah.
Okay.
But all in all, this was one of the most interesting texts. One of the most interesting texts I came across. Okay, one of the most comprehensive. What we accomplished was also quite something good, because what we did is, see, in Hatayuk Pradipika and Hatha Ratnavali, they clearly are saying not as far as Shuddhi Kriyas are concerned. Both Srinivasa Yogi and Swatmarama Muni say that not all the yogis are of the opinion that Shuddhi Kriyas need to be practiced for purification. Purification is necessary, but Shuddhi Kriya is not the only way. You can also achieve that Shuddhi Kriya by the means of pranayama. Shuddhi by the means of pranayama. Okay. So what we did essentially over here, which I'm looking forward to take ahead in our work, is we developed a certain accompanying pranayam for all the Shuddhi Kriya. Like, let's say you cannot do Sutra Neti, or you cannot do Jala Neti, or you cannot do certain kind of Dhauti. We observed, we worked, and we have I feel we are trying to work out what pranayama could be given, and we worked that out to a great extent. I feel so.
So as a point
With
of
Dhauti
therapy,
kriyas
as a
and all that,
therapy
how
point
to
of
use
view,
air.
as a therapy point of view, we have customized
Exactly.
this Shuddhi Kriyas as per the, keeping the same essence of that particular Shuddhi Kriya, and how we can customize and practice it
Exactly.
in the whatever the equipment or whatever
Exactly.
the things we have.
Yeah, using air and unsalted water. Usually for
Right.
Shuddhi Kriya, salted water is used, but we are trying to figure out how to do this with air and unsalted water. So that's an interesting work which the group took up after the study of this particular thing. Okay, but yes, yeah.
So and
it is one of the texts which I feel everybody should take up a study of if they are serious about Hatha Yoga, and preferably under the guidance of a guru, because we know the trouble which we went through trying to interpret
although
all
it
these
was
shlokas and sutras.
although it was a combined session or group study session, but still at some point we were like clueless कि अभी आगे इसका क्या होगा, या like we are not satisfied with the verses which we have translated or the meaning which we have got
We are
from
not,
the
absolutely
verses.
not.
So you need some higher
Absolutely not.
advanced practitioner with you if you are really
And
going.
that is why I would also like to put a disclaimer that all the views that have been expressed over here come from our limited understanding.
Correct.
And as such, they might be either wrong or they might be slightly off or anything. And as such, we are open for criticism and correction both in that case,
Correct.
And having taken up the study, we would be willing to discuss with people one-on-one about our experiences and trying to learn more on the study. And of course, we nowhere claim to be completely right over here,
Correct.
because we are also just venturing. In future, we might find out, oh, we were wrong about this.
Right. It
Should
was
have been
like
differently interpreted and all
a genuine and humble try for learning and seeking what's there in Hiranda Samhita or what is there in the ancient text. Means it was just a genuine try, humble try. Once we start actual practicing, or we will, if we can take one of the practices and make it as like we can make it as a sadhana, then I think we can unfold the mystery of Gyananda Samhita or the practices which Giranda Muni has described. Means you take any one of the asana and then you work on that, or you can take one pranayam, you work on that. So in that way, one can unfold the mystery and the treasure of whatever the higher practices he has given. Right? Okay, it was a quite good session, interactive session. We are so much thankful to all our team, all our group members who were regularly, coming
And
with
credits.
us and and joining our session and putting their thoughts and sharing their energy with us. We both of you, me and Rohit, would like to thank Jayashree ma'am for reading the Sanskrit verses without any mistakes. Then we would like to thank Sonali, Subhash, Sarika, then Radha ma'am, then Farah ma'am, Chitra was also there. So Chitra, Priya,
Sarika
so
ma'am.
yeah, Sarika ma'am. She was early morning. She used to wake up and
Come from
joining
US.
the session. Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So it was really a good treatise for
Hmm.
this group combined session. Okay.
Yeah. Next step, next stop, what will
Yeah, definitely. We have so much inspired with this reading and group combined study session, so that we don't want to discontinue our study. क्योंकि एक कोर्स करने से, एक डिग्री करने से और उसमें जो सिखाया जाता है, उससे ये ग्रुप स्टडी एंड सेल्फ स्टडी आई फील क्वाइट इफेक्टिव. दिस वाज माय फर्स्ट एक्सपीरियंस, but it was quite effective.
I have learned quite a lot of things over here, quite a lot of new things. And when I teach something now, I can go ahead and teach it with some authority because I know I'm backed by a certain text and a certain science, time and tested science. So,
correct. Yeah. Because when you do some course and all that, it becomes very inside the boundary that you in this particular days you have to finish this and you have to take the certificate and you feel like I have
how
done
many
that
days
course.
did we take? How many
I think,
days did we take to
2
complete
months.
it?
2 months.
Did we take approximately 3 months?
Approximately 2 to 3 months.
2 months. That's
2
it.
months. I think 2 months.
Yeah, but okay.
Text was also short as compared to the other text. So that was the beauty of Gheranda Samhita कि कम शब्दों में बहुत कुछ बताया है और specific बताया है, focus बताया है, because when you read or when we were discussing or when we were having the sessions of Patanjali Yoga Sutra, we were scattering in all the directions like Vedantic philosophy, and then we went into the Buddhism, and then Zen, and everything was coming into the discussions. But while discussing this Gheranda Samhita, we were stick to the practices and whatever he has mentioned. So that's I like very much, like the beauty of the text.
One more thing, yes, one more thing remains with the text. We are not yet done because somebody had told us that the 26+2 series of Vishnu Ghosh is similar to the 32 asanas which are mentioned in the Gheranda Samhita. So what we have left with is to do a comparative study of the 26+2 technique of Vishnu Ghosh, which is right now, people might not 26+2 technique of Vishnu Ghosh. Right now it is popular as Bikram Yoga. But what they don't know is Bikram Yoga comes from his guru Vishnu Ghosh, who was the younger brother of Paramahamsa Yogananda, and he was the one who actually developed this set of 26 postures combined with 2 pranayams, Ujjayi and Bhastrika, So we are going to do a further comparative study of both this thing and see whether, of course, there is some semblance or sameness is there over there.
Correct.
So that is our next frontier, definitely.
Yes.
Next step. Yes.
Okay.
So it was a pleasure working with you also, Pratishruta.
Yeah, thank you, Rohit. You are the main inspiration because you keep some target, you come up with new ideas, and you keep some challenges, and we the people
That's okay.
follow you. Okay, we'll end the session with one Om. Okay? We'll end the session with one Om. Eyes closed. Inhale. Thank you so much, Rohit. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I'll see you soon.
Yeah. Bye.